Hello ladies and gentlemen, today we're back in War Thunder and it's time to look at a new graphical option. This is HQTAA and by extension also TAA. Now I'm comparing it here to no AA just to show the difference that you can actually get from using this option. Also, I'm running on medium graphics, and the reason for this is because the majority of the player base don't run on max or movie, so I thought why not split the difference and just sit it on, medium between all of the graphical settings. At the same time, on ultra low, you don't have this option for you, so unfortunately, you guys don't get to experience this. But the big difference between having HQTAA and no AA on is the fact that you have a hell of a lot more sharper of an image. And this can actually help you gameplay wise, but it can also be a disadvantage as well. So it depends on how you want to look at it. So when it comes to the majority of options in War Thunder, normally it is best to have them at cranked up, or depending on if you want to hit long distance stuff or short distance stuff, or if you want to see, the beauty of the game, or you don't really mind about that. It is all up to personal preference. One of the great things about War Thunder is because it has so many options to do with its graphical fidelity, you are able to pretty much pick what you want, that you want out of the game. And also it means that on a variety of machines, you're able to run the game well, which is also nice. So when we look at TAA in general, what it does is it sharpens up the image, so it makes everything a little bit more defined. When it comes to the ground looks a little bit more defined. The trees look more defined, the vehicles themselves look more defined, and so do the rocks and the landscape and all of this stuff. So when it comes to actually targeting people, this will help you determine what is that vehicle 2 kilometers away from you, which is always nice. At the same time though, what it also does is it makes smoke and muzzle flashes a lot more prominent, meaning that if somebody fires, the smoke will stay around for a little bit longer, meaning that you can tell for a longer time where they actually are if they aren't scouted. At the same time, on top of this, that also means that you have more smoke around you. So if a building gets destroyed next to you, it is harder to see through it. It takes longer time. So as you can see, there's an disadvantage to this, which is always something that you have to take into account. At the same time, if we look at HQTAA, it is obvious that the game looks a hell of a lot better with it on, with more defined features, a little bit more contrast, especially with the ground. When we look on the sand maps or when we look on the city maps, it makes a hell of a lot of difference to the overall look of the game, which is something that doesn't actually take away that much from the performance. Now it does say in the settings, it does say that you should have a stable FPS in game to be able to run this. And to be honest, even when I took VSync off, when I was testing it, I didn't really see that much of a difference, with the quality, going wacko or anything like that. So I think that's that issue that maybe with HQTAA and TAA doesn't really matter that much. It's pretty much there just to make sure that nothing crazy goes on, but so far I haven't seen anything crazy go on with it. There are a lot of other graphical options that you can change to make the game look better, but this is one which won't affect your performance that much compared to some others, such as changing the whole of the graphical fidelity or the texture quality, or definitely the shadow quality, which will change your performance quite drastically. AA in general is not something that will take away a ton of FPS from you. So if you are running on low-end machines, running on either low or medium graphics, it may be worth just turning on TAA or HQTAA if you want that extra graphical fidelity, and also to be able to see targets from afar in a much more pronounced way. In my opinion, it is an option. If you have the option to turn it on, you should do. It shouldn't be one of those ones which you miss, no matter what graphical fidelity you are sat on. And hopefully, as the future goes along with the new engine, which does look fantastic and hasn't really done anything to my frame rates personally, hopefully we see more people use this feature as we go along. Now, let's talk about the Dagor Engine 5 in general. The Dagor Engine 5 for me, on low, medium and high settings, has actually had an FPS boost, which is nice. Generally, if I have VSync on, which I always do for recording to make sure that the frame rate is as stable as possible, I have an easy 60 in planes and also tanks, no matter the situation. So for me, TAA is an option I should always have turned on. At the same time, when I go to max and movie, I definitely have lost some FPS. So on max, I've lost about maybe 5, and on movie, I've lost 10, 15, maybe even 20 to the Dagor Engine 5. So it seems like it's boosted the performance for the lower end machines, or at least the lower end graphical settings, and has made the game look absolutely stunning at higher graphical settings, but it's also destroyed the FPS. Now, the thing is, you've got to understand, my computer itself is quite old now. You're looking at a machine which is around about 4 to 5 years old now. You can see all of the bits and bobs of my machine in the description if you want to have a look to try and compare your machine. But overall, my machine, yes, it has definitely seen its day, and I will be upgrading at some point this year. But yeah, overall, with the Dagor Engine 5, it's been positive, and it's nice to see that TAA is part of it, meaning that you can just see stuff at that little bit sharper consistency in the areas where it actually matters, which is on vehicles, on trees, on the ground, pretty much everywhere. Also, I haven't talked about the water. The water is a hell of a lot more defined as well, but that might be just because of the engine in general and not the TAA. But I definitely saw a difference in the motion of water when I had this on. It seems like smoke, water, and stuff like that takes a hell of a, I don't know what to call it, but it just looks a hell of a lot better, in my opinion. When we talk about motion is an interesting one, because especially in aircraft, I see it in TAA, it seems to add this little bit of motion blur, and for me, I don't really like that. Now, this is very prominent in jet combat, but at lower tiers you won't really see it because the speeds are not there. Obviously, in ground forces, this isn't that much of an issue, but in air, that is something to be considered. So that's about it for all I have to say on this. What I'll leave you with is a few of these clips just to show you the difference between the no AA and HQTAA. And if you're not able to use HQTAA, remember there are other options as well further down the tree. I'm just doing the most extreme examples here just to show you the biggest difference. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.